Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Daisy.
and this is the Film Joe podcast where we invite you to talk film
We'll talk about the good, the bad,
and the not so bad, all in the spirit and for the love of film. Catch us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcast fix.
so join us on the Film Joe podcast.
Where film talk happens.
3, 2, 1.
Hey folks, Jonathan Phoenix here, the Carolina Storyteller. The show that you're about to listen to is going to have discussions about spooky things, ghosts, goblins, legend, murder, maybe things that might not be appropriate for all audiences. So please, use discretion when listening, and stay spooky, my friends.
Oh, he's just gone. Well, for the sake of continuity and just in case this is actually happening, the aliens were real in the Miami Bayside Marketplace thing, and there you go. Has to be true.
It's true, but I'm back recording. Okay, folks,
Oh, looks good.
we're having technical difficulties today, but welcome to the show. This is the Carolina Storyteller. I am your Carolina Storyteller, Jonathan Phoenix. Joining me today is my sometimes co-host. It's always awesome, sentient bowl of applesauce. Applesauce, say hello.
Hello.
Great to have applesauce with me. Applesauce has been traveling around, touring the country with apple fritter and apple pie, and so I never know what applesauce is up to. I used to know, but applesauce never tells me anymore. I'm just like
Well,
that
I'm
with
under
language.
NDAs. You know, you can't break NDAs. Those Dutch fritters are not playing around.
That really does explain it. The NDA that explains a
Mm.
lot. So I was listening to a podcast, and I wanted to see about this before we got into the story. I'm listening to this podcast,
Mhm.
and it's Ouchwood's At a Ghost. It's one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. And she had on this couple who apparently wrote a book called, I think it's called Who They Are and What They're Up to. And apparently, their theory in this book is that aliens are not aliens. Apparently, like 13,000 years, there was like a cataclysmic, world-ending event. And back then, we used to be like super advanced.
Uh-huh.
So they knew this was coming. So some of them like went and hid themselves underground. And that's why we have these like ancient civilizations with like these really awesome buildings that we don't understand.
And underwater.
Yes, and underwater. And then some of them like took off to space. And that's why there are like things on like Mars and the moons of Mars and things like that. So the aliens that we're seeing are either friends of ours, or friends of our ancestors, should I say, or our ancestors who have evolved 13,000 years beyond us because they got out of the way. Because when this asteroid hit 13,000 years ago, it caused the Great Flood.
I'll say it wrong there, but it's the Ender Dryas period or something. There's a lot of different beliefs into that system that, yeah, we were advanced. Then the flood came, it wiped everything out. And on that note, actually, there's what was I reading the other day? It's professor of biology, biological anthropology, actually, Michael Masters. 2019, he wrote a book, peer-reviewed book, as far as my understanding is, that aliens are actually us from the future. That's all that they are. Just a more advanced version of us coming back to try and guide. And that also ties into why things like the Inca and all of these different hieroglyphics and all of the stuff that ties into more advanced things than they're supposed to be is simply that it's just time travel. It's not space travel. It's time travel. And that theory actually does tie into my story about the Bayside Marketplace in Miami.
the Bayside Marketplace in Miami.
Yep.
So what's up with the Bayside Marketplace in Miami? What's the story you got for me?
Let me paint you the story like almost, let's do this Roswell style, okay? We're going to tell you that there is a weather balloon, okay? Big old weather balloon, and we're going to all believe that all of these people have shown up for a weather balloon. Does that sound believable? No, didn't then, doesn't now. So what they are saying is that
Wait. Hang on.
yeah.
I just want to point out that last year, around this time, a whole lot of people did show up for a weather balloon.
Okay, that was a different kind though.
I'm just saying, it was a weather balloon.
Yeah,
it was a weather balloon. It wasn't supposed to be there. A whole lot of people did show up for it, and we did shoot it down with F-35s.
Oh my God, did we really?
Right over my home state, like literally launched from like my backyard. Two of them launched from the Air Force Base here in Charleston and took that sucker out.
Well, here, let me give you this then. 60 cop cars, all available cop cars in Miami near the Bayside Marketplace. Every single one, lights on, all around this place. Everybody's screaming, running around. And what do they claim later in the news? What was this? What did they claim? It was a couple of kids fighting with firecrackers. Yep. Meanwhile, there's barely any videos. There's hush hush. You can't find a goddamn thing from inside the building. Nothing. However, there are stories that there was very large shadow creatures that were walking around. There's a video actually that has 3 of these beings barely able to be seen on film inside the mall when everybody's screaming and running. Now remember, videos of people inside this mall screaming and running over a couple of teenagers fighting with some firecrackers. Yeah, sure, buds. If you see the videos, the whole outside of the place is locked down. Every single police car in the near vicinity, all lined up. And there's stories that there was somebody inside who brought in a digital device. They were doing something with it, and out walked these tall shadow beings. And that's when the place got locked down. The police showed up to try to keep it. And there's like videos, you can see these large shadow creatures kind of, it's like a shadow moving the wrong way on the ground. And there's also another video of these, it looks like a really tall, wide person is walking next to these circular steps, and there's a row of police in front of this thing. But they're telling us it's just a couple of police that were, just scanning that area, just walking in front. Have you ever known police to draw guns on other police? They seem to not be prone to doing that.
No. Generally speaking, and I have been watching this show called On Patrol Live, and you see the police doing their things. And generally speaking, the way that they do things is they make sure that their guns are pointed at everybody but them.
Yeah.
That they do a whole lot to make sure that that's what happens, is that the guns get pointed away from them. And honestly, if I was in their shoes, I would point my gun away from me too. I don't want a gun pointed at me.
That's very fair.
It's not something I would want. So I can understand their need to point the guns away.
But
so
apparently in this case, they are like 60. There's tons and tons and tons of them. They show up out of almost nowhere immediately too, which no shade, all tea. Come on now. When was the last time you saw something going down and all the police immediately showed up? Like, think of the most intensive things you've been seeing on the news. 3 or 4, maybe 10. And not right away, maybe 5, 10, 20, a couple hours later, they showed up immediately.
I feel like that's the kind of response that, you'd get if you heard that there was a sale on Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
To all my cop friends, really, I'm sorry. I know you guys like Dunkin' Donuts, you like Krispy Kreme.
I mean, that is an educated difference, in all honesty. So here's that tie-in, though. Aliens are from the future or from the past. Either way, they're time travelers, perhaps. That couple of sightings of the people who had the little digital box before the being showed up. it's kind of put a little bit of a rift between some of the people on the fringe side of thought, because some are saying, oh, it was a ritual, it's a demon, it's a this and a that. And there are other people on that fringe side going, what if that was a communication way to bring in somebody from the future? And this is just what we look like in the future. They needed to come back and do a check or whatever it is that they're doing. Because things are, admittedly off the damn rails right now, pretty much everywhere. If somebody was
So
checking in, this would be a good time to do it.
it's really interesting because this couple that I was listening to last night theorized that aliens, there are different types of aliens. There's what they call the grays, and that's the ones that most people describe. And those are like, they're super evolved versions of us. And then there are the Nordics.
Yeah.
They're also like versions of us, but they're the kind that look like us. They're just like really tall, buff, kind of Viking-looking aliens.
Yeah. They can also be a little bit controversial because they're almost always blonde and blue-eyed, very
They're
tall.
actually they're either blonde or redheaded.
Oh, I didn't know the redheaded version.
Green eyes, blue eyes. Usually over 6 feet. Very very fit. Blonde or redheaded, and apparently speak multiple languages fluently.
The Nordic also, don't they overlap with the Niflheim as well?
That I don't know. But you got to think your Vikings were redheaded or blonde, as were your Irish were all gingers. And in the Scots kind of were a mixed bag of all of the above. But they, the Nordic peoples, that's your Iceland, your Finland, your Sweden, your Norway.
Celtic area?
Areas of Scots were where the Saxons went, and Ireland. These were all basically where the Nordic people hung out. And supposedly, the Nordics and the Greys are all alien, are all versions of us that have been, they're not our ancestors because they age similar to how they're us. They're humans, but they're humans that have evolved over 13,000 more years off of this planet. And the Greys have apparently gone further into space and done more than the Nordics that have stayed around and kind of kept an eye on us.
Whoa, interesting take on that. 'Cause the one that I heard is the Greys are us, but they're the cave dwellers of us. They're in the ground, like that's why they have the eyes and the skin color due to the lack of pigment.
See, that's I've heard that they were in the ground. I've heard that they were up in space, but there's this movie, Deep Impact, where an asteroid is coming for Earth, and what they do is they make bunkers in the ground to protect everybody after this asteroid hits and wipes out everybody that's not protected. So it's feasible that 13,000 years before, if we were super advanced, the idea of hiding in the Earth was just as palpable as the idea of hiding in the sky.
I mean, there's plenty of stories of people.
My only problem with that theory is that my only problem with that theory is how long you stay down there. I mean, did they really stay down there for that long? I mean, and if they stayed down there for that long, are they just now coming up because we're starting to dig down and get into things, and they're like, oh no, we got to stop them before they mess something up? I mean, are we interfering with whatever they're doing down there?
Look up the rate of UFO sightings and that freaking nuke that we put into the water last year, and come back and talk to me about that.
Well, yeah, that was that's interesting because there has been an increase in UFO sightings, and believe it or not, a lot of the things that are coming out now is that not only the U.S. but multiple nuclear countries have experienced instances where an unknown, unidentified aerial phenomenon appeared and messed with nuclear systems, literally shutting them down.
Well, their future can't happen if we
And
don't exist.
yeah, if we wipe ourselves out, their future can't happen. And I'm like, I kind of feel like, if you were coming back to save the future, I get taking out nukes, but can't you just get rid of the bad guys?
But what are the bad guys? I mean,
Yeah.
that comes down to war tactics, right? If you take away a leader, there's always a vacuum of power, and you can't stick around to raise the next power. There's always somebody who steps back in. You can only control the worst case scenario. You can't assume by taking out the bad guy that another one doesn't just step in. It's a bit of a rat race on that. If these aliens, quote unquote aliens, are coming from either past or present, they have a specific trajectory that they want us on. Like, you're not gonna, okay, some people might kill a bad guy to save a certain part of the future. But there is a large part of the populace that would, knowing that they wouldn't come to be, they wouldn't choose that route. So if your entire existence depends on a certain thing or a certain train of events happening, then you're going to go down the path of those certain train of events. So they're not trying to unite us. They're just trying trying to come into person, trying to create the reality where they exist, which is one way of looking at it, right? Because they keep giving small details. They'll show up, they'll leave behind a bit of, and again, on the topic of aliens, right? They'll leave a bit of information behind. They'll leave some tech behind. They'll point us in a direction. They'll leave behind huge old freaking, what are those things called? The Nazca lines? They leave behind messages to pull us towards a certain direction. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been led in a direction that I didn't ask the question for that seemed to be in my benefit. That's just not how that goes. If somebody's leading you, they want to lead you for their reason. Be it as Sherpa who's getting money because I walk you around. They're not walking you around because they want to keep you safe. If they were doing that, they wouldn't be paid for it. They're walking you around because it's beneficial to them. So what's beneficial to walking us around? What are these symbols? What are these messages? What are they trying to show us? Because if they're that intelligent, regardless, how do they keep leaving stuff behind? But yet can't be found.
See, it's like, and that's why that is actually why the whole their future us theory bothers me so much. Like, I could get that maybe, just maybe, we were technologically advanced, and maybe just maybe we got off the planet in the past, and then everything got wiped out, and we went back to the Stone Age. I can get that theory. I can get behind that. What I can't get is why we're going to come back, fiddle with things, but mess up constantly.
There's an answer for that.
That doesn't make any sense. And also, why are there so many, like,
You're answering your own question in those two questions. They look different and they're screwing up because there's two factions fighting over which future they require.
Sorry. Something kicked off my recording for a second.
Ooh, I must have said too much true there.
Yeah. It's the alien getting closer to us. But yeah, so that's hitting the nail on the head, as we were saying, is that why are they doing the things that they're doing?
But see, again, so what cut out there is, and don't cut it out again, let me say it. We are saying that there are two different types, right? You've got the Greys and you've got the Nordics.
Yes, as far as I know.
Yes, as far as we know. Who look totally different and thus perhaps come from two completely different futures.
Ooh.
So they're not messing up. They're actively fighting, trying to get to the future where they exist. Right now, they both exist because they're actively screwing things up or putting them in place, depending on how you view it. If I'm a Grey, and I live in a world where everything's dark and the sun's not here and it's kind of apocalyptic, and I live underground, I need the world to kind of go towards a path of destruction. If I'm on the other side of the fence and I'm more human and I'm tall and obviously I'm living above ground, I'm thriving, then I need that not to happen. So how do you interrupt? How do you influence without taking over while you're actively working against a different faction?
That's a good question. Now, see, that is an interesting theory. And I do love time travel theories.
Mm.
Because you're caught in the paradox. See, and that means we're caught in the paradox. And all of a sudden, the Mandela effect makes sense. And I always knew that Sinbad starred in Kazam.
Same. I saw it as a kid. You can't convince me otherwise. I saw it. It was one of my comfort movies.
Shazam.
Some of these, honestly, doesn't that roll in? Like, oh, you got me with that one too, because it does roll in. Because sometimes if we're caught in that paradox, when one wins a war that they quote unquote weren't supposed to or were supposed to, it goes back and it writes stuff over that we just barely notice because they're still trying to keep us on the same path. They're still trying to keep, like, to some extent, the future has to be as it was in order to get where they are. It has to. So these tiny, minute butterfly effects keep popping up to show what they've been messing around with. Oh, that's mic drop.
There we have. We have figured it all out, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. That's why they've been stopping us this whole time.
We figured it out. We're on to you, aliens. So send the Men in Black if you want to. We got this. You're not going to shut us up. You can't make the Carolina Storyteller and Applesauce be quiet.
Well, except for those NDAs, because again, aliens are one thing, but those French Dutch, those Apple Dutchies, they're not playing around. I mean, I mean, they're great, they're wonderful. I would never say anything bad about them.
Yeah, I forgot about the NDAs. Ugh. Man. Anyway, folks, I'm sorry we had to redact the last 30 minutes of the part of the here. It turns out that I did sign an NDA with somebody at some point in time, and so the last 30 minutes we've had to redact. So what you've heard before and what you're hearing now, that's all you're getting.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen. Plausible deniability at all points in time.
Gotta love the shop days. All right, well, thank you for that story and getting us on and letting me know aliens have hit Miami. Which honestly, why wouldn't aliens hit Miami? I would.
I mean, a little bit of sun, some nice times. Why not? Honestly, if you're going to come back, why not?
Especially, I mean, go down to Miami, have some fun, enjoy the beach.
If you're going to be messing with the timeline, you may as well get to have some time in the limelight as well.
I mean, honestly, if you ever watch Doctor Who, it always has fun. Time traveling, why not? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what?
Oh, I was just going to say I love it. And again, yes, thank you for having me here. I just had a little stop in while I was getting resauced,
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to actually stop by this time. And we're hoping to see you, we're hoping to see you on your next leg of your trip. Now, I understand what you're doing, the Grand Canyon and
hey, there's a lot to say.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I figured your fans might want to come and get like signatures or something.
I haven't booked the dates yet. Don't you know that they like to do those like secret shows?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. That's why you were in New York last week.
Exactly. I mean, we weren't there unless you were at the show, in which case, thank you so much for your support and love.
Remember, folks, if you applesauce, no, you didn't. And if you see an alien, no, you didn't.
Yeah. Nope, that is a mind your business situation.
No, you didn't. You did not see anything.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here again, Applesauce. And folks, I'm Jonathan Phoenix. This has been the Carolina Storyteller, and this has also been Applesauce. It's great to have Applesauce. Remember, folks, you can go to CarolinaStoryteller.com for your merch, all the episodes, find out about all the guests, maybe find out when Applesauce throws up a tour date on the blog. I don't know. Applesauce just does things as Applesauce does.
This is a fact.
And if you want to get the exclusive, the good stuff, Applesauce can tell you where it is.
It's on your Patreon.
That's on patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller. You get exclusives. We're going to be doing a series real soon covering one of my favorite legends. And I can't give a hint because Applesauce doesn't want to be surprised. What the heck? King of Britain. That's all I'm dropping on that one. You can try and figure it out.
We love it.
But it's going to be a 6-part series. And they're going to be the next 6 months exclusives. So remember,
That's exciting.
go to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller and get in on the fun. And you can get in for like the next month or so. You can get in on the 50th episode giveaway. This is only episode 41. I've got 9 episodes to go before then. All you have to do is join the Patreon. $3, $5, $10. Just sign up
Totally
and
worth
subscribe.
it.
You'll be entered into the drawing. Lots of good, some merch coming, all kinds of fun stuff. I'm even thinking about throwing in the ability to come and be a guest spot and actually have me tell you a story. And maybe Applesauce will join us and we'll both tell you a story. So remember, head on over to patreon.com/Carolina Storyteller. Check out me, check out Applesauce, join the club, get in on the discussion, get in on the fun.
Stay
spooky, my friends.
Take care.
We'll see you next time.
If you like paranormal, true crime, and some cryptids, or just anything weird, check out Ouch! Was That a Ghost? Brought to you by your host, Liz. You can find Ouch! Was That a Ghost on Spotify, Apple, or any audio platform. New episodes drop every Thursday.